Here we go. Welcome back. I'm Hallie with Handmade by Hallie. It's nice to see you again today. Today, I'm going to show you how to use this flower center that I made in a previous video, and we're going to make a sunflower wreath today. I'm going to show you how to cut your mesh and how to make the petals to make this beautiful flower, and then we'll put this center in the middle. So let me lower the camera and ready to get this project started. So here are the materials that you're going to need. You're going to need one roll of this 10 by 10 Deco poly mesh, and here is the SKU number for that. I will make sure to include that in the descriptions. We need one roll of that. We will need zip ties that are 18-pound weight, 6 to 8 inches long. We will need a zip tie gun and or a wire cutter. We will also need, to cut our mesh, we will need a wood burner, and the biggest thing that we will need, because we don't want to melt our mat, is a glass cutting board. Let me show you what I've got. I have this glass cutting board that I like to use, and then you will also need a ruler. I like to use this metal ruler. It helps me to get straighter edges. And then on my wood burner, I have this big paper clip that I can attach my wood burner to the side of my cutting board when I'm not using it, so that I don't get any burns from that. So what we're going to do is we are going to cut our pieces 10 inches long. And so we will put our outside edge all the way down to the outside mark. And then here we can see we're at 10 inches. So I'm going to just put my ruler here, this time more just to hold the mesh down, and we will see if this is ready. I just turned it on, so it may not be quite ready. And this mesh is nice that I can see straight through the mesh and see that line that goes straight down, and I'm just going to follow one of these channels. Yeah, we're cutting. Just gonna see as it goes. Okay, and there we have a 10 by 10 piece, and I'm gonna cut a few of these. This is the first cut. We'll do 2 more cuts, or 1 more cut, so this petal will take 2 cuts. And I prefer to do this with the wood burner. If you're doing a lot of these, you should do it either outside and or wear a mask. So I have already previously cut most of my petals. So I think we'll just do with 3. So I usually use 1 entire roll of this mesh. So now I'm going to kind of turn my cutting board diagonal, and I'm going to take my mesh that I've cut, and I'm going to put the finished edge up on the top left, and we're going to cut this diagonally from this top corner to the bottom corner, and we're just going to gently go against the ruler, and then at the end I'm just going to kind of draw a line there. Then if we need to come back and do any more pieces that didn't get cut, we can do that. Okay. There we go. Then what we'll do, number one, you can probably see that's smoking now. That's nice and hot. That's one of the reasons why you want to wear a mask and or do it outside. So now that I have these two pieces, I'm going to stack these together, and this one that has the side we cut with the wood burner is going to go on the bottom, and we're going to stack these together like this, and I'll show you how to make the petal. One main piece that I forgot to show you is that you need a Unique in the Creek large flower board. And this is what they look like. This is the back side. This is the front side. The front side has the numbers 1 to 5 that correspond with the rings with the holes. And then up here at the top you have 2 holes that are kind of closer together, and these are for our hanging wire. So we are going to take our zip ties, get our mesh pieces out of the way for a minute, and I'm going to show you how to put your pieces in. I'm going to take our flower center and set the board on top. That gives me some lift. So our zip tie here, you have one side of the head is flat, one side has a bump. You always put the end of the zip tie into the flat side of the head. So basically what we're going to do is we are going to kind of fold this in half, and we are going to put zip ties in row 2, 3, and 4. We don't need them in 5. Okay, so I'm going to do a few of these. So this is what it's going to look like. Again, you want to do rows 2, 3, and 4, but not 5 and not 1. So then we turn it over, and we are going to close these just a little bit. Okay. After you get all of your zip ties in row 2, 3, and 4, then it's time to start making your petals. But I am going to go ahead and show you how to make the petal. So we have our pieces that we've cut. You want to match up your top corner and the sides. You want it curled up. You're going to draw an imaginary line from the corner down. You're going to do a big pinch, and then you're going to continue to pinch like this, and then pinch like this. And this is our petal. And by cutting your pieces in half, you get 2 kind of uniform pieces. So the idea is to put this underneath the zip tie, tighten, and then I'll show you how we use the zip tie gun here in a minute. So let's do 3 more. So you can see that again. So curl side up, match your corners and your outside edges. Draw that imaginary line and do a big pinch. And you just keep pinching or folding until there is no more mesh left. Kind of pull that so you're having it kind kind of curl like a leaf. Now you could do it this way and have them all curl up, but I like to do it with the curl facing down. And again, we're just going to take our mesh, put it underneath that, close the zip tie, and you want about a finger's width of mesh. So just kind of hold it and loosely tighten that. So So I would complete all of the second row before doing this, but I like to use the zip tie again. I like to use this one from Uline. Uline is also where I get the zip ties from. Make sure to look in the comments for a link to Uline. And we take the zip tie and put it in this channel. Squeeze it a couple times and it cuts it. So it tightens it and cuts it. Okay, so I am going to finish loading all of my zip ties again in rows 2, 3, and 4. Then I'm going to complete row 1. Then the next row, these will overlap these so you don't end up seeing new zip ties, and the same thing with row 4. Each row overlaps the previous row, but I will show you that when I get my board loaded, and when I'm ready to move on to the next row, show you how that looks. So stay tuned. Okay, so I have finished the first row in putting the petals in, and I have finished putting the rest of the zip ties and getting those closed. So let me turn the board over and show you what that looks like. So I did all of the paired holes on row 2. I also did all the paired holes on the next row. You see there is an extra hole in the middle. We're not going to use those. Then I did all of the paired holes on the next one. So that's what it looks like. So a couple of notes about putting your petals in. You want to make sure that they all overlap the same direction. It gives it a good direction. It just makes it look nicer when you do that. So here's a tip when you're doing something like this where all the petals are the same. You can make your petals ahead of time and close it with a clothespin and put them in a box or a bag, and it just makes it quicker for putting it together. So I have all of the next row all ready. So I'm going to show you again how those just go in. And close that to hold it. So I did go ahead and decide to put an extra zip tie in one part of the shared holes in that second row. So that adds one more petal over those spots that end up having a lot of the gray. So I have 2 more to do in this second row, and then I'll cut the zip ties and then show you how to do the last row and get that center in. So I made these all to the right hand side. You could go to the right hand side or the left hand side, whichever looks best for you. I liked it going that way. And for me, this becomes therapeutic and relaxing when I'm doing this. And get lost and from all the craziness of our crazy world. So there we have that second row that's all completed. So we will go through and cut these tails to our zip ties. This last row I already have finished, so this won't take very much. I also realized I totally forgot to show you what I use for hanging my wreaths. I get this from Dollar Tree in the springtime. It is a wire coated with heavy plastic. I use about a 10-inch section of this. And we're going to turn this over and find right here on top of row 1 is where we're going to put our hanger. I like to put this in and twist this towards the inside, leaving plenty here. So let me give this a twist. Maybe what we'll do is we'll wrap this around. I do have my glue gun ready. Put a dab of glue and hold that with a clothespin for a little bit. That can hold that while we get these last two in. So there we have our petal or our flower all done except for our center. The nice thing about these boards is you can do all kinds of different things in the center. This is the center that I've made. And if I set it right on here, you'll see it sits right on top of all of this here. And pipe cleaner in the center, and these pipe cleaners go right in those two center holes. We tighten that down, put this over, twist this. We want enough to poke back into the hole. Cover this with hot glue so that that doesn't scratch a customer's door. So there we have our completed sunflower. I just go along and make sure that my center is covering everything. I might add a little bit of glue to hold it in place. That should probably be good. Okay. Sometimes what I like to do is take this whole thing outside and spray it with a little bit of glitter blast. And this is what I'm talking about. This is a Krylon product, This one I got at Hobby Lobby. Comes in different colors, and it just gives a little bit of a sparkle. And there we have our finished wreath. So this should be done here. Got a little bit of glue leakage here and here, but that's okay. Thank you for joining me today in making our sunflower wreath. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you see the next wreath that I'm going to make. We'll see you again soon.